Oh, do we have to see our husbands all the time? Is that a thing that people have to do? Because I'd rather not, I think.
I don't even feel bad for her. I don't even feel bad for her. She literally left a good man.
He met her family. They've been talking for a little while.
Or did production set that up?
It's going great.
So I was very clear that I would not work with Seema. I had a very poor experience. She does not align with my values. I wasn't heard at all in the process either. So
Okay, so this Friday, we have another season of Indian Matchmaking coming out, and I am pretty excited to check it out. I am very curious on who is going to be returning to season 3 and who are some of the new players that are going to be participating in finding love. With both seasons of Indian Matchmaking, I have had some serious issues with how they have portrayed certain people on their show. Each season, at least in the 2 seasons that we've seen so far, they choose one person to really reduce, disempower, and essentially villainize. So let's get into it. Hi guys, my name is Yusra. Welcome back to my channel. Now I will go into a couple of disclaimers here, right? First and foremost, anybody that I am talking about in this video, I obviously do not know in person. I am simply going off what the show has shown us, how they have been edited and portrayed in the show, and spoiler alert, the things that I found out after the seasons aired, basically showing how much editing and villainizing there actually was involved, but we'll get into that in a little bit. Second of all, I want to talk about how there are definitely some problematic standards that have been set for the men in the show as well, but in case you haven't noticed, I am not a man, so I will be talking clearly from just the women's perspective in this video. Let's get straight into it. Let's start off with our villain from season 1, our girl, Aparna. Now, Aparna caused quite the stir when season 1 came out. I'm honestly not sure why. So Aparna is a girl, a very career-driven girl. She is a lawyer that lives in Texas. Straight from the beginning, when we are introduced to her, we know for a fact that this is a girl that has a very direct demeanor. She's straightforward, she knows what she wants, and she really does have an I don't care attitude. And what is the most ideal person for Seema Auntie to match? A person who can compromise, okay? A subservient woman, a woman that is willing to accept 60 to 70% of the list that she actually has in her mind. Keeping that in mind, Aparna is clearly not the ideal person to actually meet up with Seema Auntie or for her to set up, but here we are. That's where the season starts. So like I said, Aparna is the type of girl, very career-oriented, very much, set in her own ways, very opinionated, right? And that is how we're introduced to her. And she takes, of course, this same personality and direct demeanor into all of her dates. In season 1, she goes on various dates, one of which was with Srini the loser. I don't know if you guys remember that from season 1, but when Aparna's mom called Srini a loser, I think I died a little bit on the inside. That was really, really harsh, really rude, and all because the poor guy had a laid back demeanor. Not great, but at least they were just discussing him amongst themselves and they didn't say it to his face, although, yeah, he probably saw that later on when the show aired, so sorry, Srini. She goes on other dates. She goes on one date with a guy where she basically says that she hates beaches, and a lot of people found that statement problematic, which, by the way, I have to say, I prefer land to water any day because personally, I don't really know how to swim. It just never happened for me. And I like to stay on land and explore history and architecture and just a whole bunch of other things that you would find on land. But anyway, I'm digressing. Then we also see that she goes on a date with Shaker. And Shaker is a person that will be important when we talk about the next person who is villainized on this show. And so we'll come back to him. But anyhow, Aparna goes on a date with Shaker. They also have no connection. It seems like anybody that Seema tried to set Aparna up with did not match her standards. And that's fine. It's almost normal because dating is a difficult process. And most people don't actually meet our standards because we really just need that one, right? But for some reason, each and every date that Aparna would go on, the show would basically find very interesting things that she would say, and they sort of started molding her into this really direct, almost stubborn, very hard-headed person slash character, When actually, if you go back and look at some of the things that she says, I would argue that a lot of the things are actually pretty quirky, pretty unique, very funny, amusing, entertaining. So in season 2, she makes another appearance, but in season 2, she was there just to be there. And to be honest, nothing really happened when it comes to her storyline or her finding love. I do remember another funny, borderline rude moment where she goes on a date with this one guy, who is cute, by the way, actually. And she's literally like yawning throughout the whole thing. It just made me think that Aparna, I think at this point, is probably just going through the motions of the show. It didn't seem like, season 1 was working out for her. She was very much villainized in season 1, portrayed to be like this very aggressive, abrasive person. And honestly, by season 2, I think she was just like, hey, I'll show up, I'll say hi, and then that's about it. I'm just going through the motions here. And I also think that because Indian Matchmaking had already done such a harsh job of portraying her in season 1, they really couldn't do much with her character in season 2, which is why they go off to find another person to villainize. But again, like I said, we'll come back to that. Coming back to Aparna, what I fail to understand till today is, what did this poor girl do that was so polarizing that everybody was literally like, oh, Aparna, yeah, too abrasive, too stubborn, too hard-headed. With those standards, you're not going to find anybody, to meet you and to match you. Like, where have I heard that before? Oh yeah, like literally every single auntie and person around that sees that you're single and has the same thing to say when you have actual standards for yourself. It's literally like every opportunity Indian Matchmaking got, they tried to just empower this poor girl. Every time she's talking about she has this standard or that standard, they're like, yeah, she's so demanding. She's so annoying. How could she say this? How could she say that she hates beaches? Like, is it really such a bad thing to be so direct? I mean, would you rather I say exactly what was on my mind? Or would you rather I just be confusing you all the time and be beating around the bush?
I believe in gender equality in relationships. I believe that the color of someone's skin is not something that I'm choosing my partner on. I believe that I wasn't heard at all in the process either. So I said, I'll go back on the show. I will share my story. And it is a story of me living life on my terms. I think that's a powerful story for women of color and myself as an immigrant to share, because it's not something that we think we can do. It's something that people have told us is often outside of what we should be doing with our life.
I think this is a common theme, and I would argue and say across various cultures that single women are often disempowered by those around her. I mean, Aparna is a picky woman. What is wrong with being a picky woman? Women in general should be selective in who they want to marry. It's literally a decision of a lifetime, a decision that's critical if you do want to get married. It could really mess up your life path. Like, it could really cause a lot of problems for you along the way. So shouldn't everyone be picky when it comes to finding your partner? Aparna at one point said something that I found actually really impressive. Basically, she said at one point, she said, you know what? I don't mind getting rejected. Why? Because I like me. That is such an empowering thing to hear. While some may find that Aparna actually has an abrasive personality, I mean, doesn't every single personality type deserve to find somebody that is a perfect match for them? Isn't that what Seema Auntie is there for, actually? To look at personality traits, to look at what the requirements are, and to find a good match, Indian matchmaking, right? And this poor girl has a set of standards for herself, and all of a sudden she's like a villain, essentially. Another thing that I think I noticed with Aparna is she may come across as a little bit abrasive, but it might be a little bit of a defense mechanism. Like, any single girl above a certain age will know the pressures that society puts on them, right? And as such, wouldn't it be natural to have a little bit of a defense mechanism when it comes to people bringing up the topic of love and marriage and all that stuff? Like, isn't that natural? And again, like, instead of empathizing with the girl or asking her about her internal feelings, about the experiences that she's gone through, the show literally just focuses on, she's so picky, she's so abrasive, she's overconfident. Just like, I was not feeling it. I really was not feeling it. I mean, I think Seema Auntie tried a little bit for her, but yeah, it was nothing close to, I think, what Aparna wanted. And I'm not sure Seema Auntie really even tried to figure out what Aparna really wanted. That's a discussion for another time, because I honestly think Seema Auntie goes to every single person and says 60 to 70%. And I think, lots of people don't actually agree with that. So, anyhow, the point is the show consistently highlighted how difficult of a person Aparna actually was, and she was pretty crucified, and she polarized the entire audience to the point where she received enough hate to where this poor girl actually went out and she wrote a book titled She's Unlikable and Other Lies That Bring Women Down. I think this girl went through it and she really did not deserve it. I personally think the show lost a pretty good opportunity because I honestly think that Aparna is such a unique personality, extremely amusing, highly entertaining, and really the show could have gone on to portray her as this quirky, unique individual rather than showing her to be stubborn, hard-headed, picky, abrasive, difficult. I really think we missed out on an opportunity here. And I would go as far as to say, I think if Netflix gave Aparna a show of her own, I think it would be pretty fun to watch. At least a season. Okay, so now we're gonna go into our second villain. Whew, and the mess that surrounded this girl, our girl, Nadia. Oh boy, oh boy. And please remember one thing before I go into my opinions on Nadia, okay? This video is an opinion piece, okay? It is actually all my opinion, and I am entitled to that, just an FYI. And you are entitled to disagree with me. That's totally fine. What you disagree with, leave in the comment section below, but just don't be disrespectful. That's my only request, okay? All right, in season 1, I very much remember that Nadia was portrayed to be an extremely likable person. She's very beautiful, she, is always smiling, has a big smile on her face, she is very sweet, she loves to dance. Essentially, she is shown to be very likable and she's shown to be very receptive to the whole process of Indian matchmaking and to what Seema Auntie is going to present to her. In the first season, towards the end of the season, she goes on a date with the same guy that Aparna went on a date with and had no connection with, the guy named Shaker, right? And it seems like things are progressing with this guy, and that's sort of, I believe, where season 1 ended and where season 2 and all the drama sort of began. So here is the very, very big glaring error that I noticed in season 2, okay? In season 2, on the one hand, we see that Shaker is actually flying out to meet Nadia's parents, and that would imply that the man was very serious about his intentions when it comes to her. But then there was a massive disconnect. In all the interviews that Nadia was giving to the show, she kept on bringing up the same fact. I'm not sure how he feels about me. I'm not sure what his intentions really are. And I found that to be a little bit weird. And I definitely noticed that something was off because how is it that this man is actually going over to meet your parents and then at the same time you're saying that you don't know his intentions? It was a big question mark for me. At least the way that the show portrayed it, it seemed like Shaker was very serious with her, but at the same time, she was confused about him. But at the same time, there was actually no commitment, no title, no exclusivity, no real monogamous relationship between the two. That's what it seemed like. And again, I don't think it was ever stated or Nadia ever said that Shaker is my boyfriend or we are dating exclusively. And that is important because up until this point, everybody likes Nadia and then something happens and then it flips within like 2 episodes, okay? So we see that Shaker and Nadia are chit-chatting. There's this disconnect, but we're moving along assuming that Shaker and Nadia are serious with each other. And then an event happens for Indian matchmaking where there is a get together where a lot of people show up. Shaker is there, Nadia is there, and there are some other people that are also there. And out of these other people, there is this one guy that catches Nadia's eyes and they start talking and they have an instant connection. His name is Vishal. And by the end of the night, these two are seen to be making out. And mind you, Shaker is in this get together. Okay, he's right there. So we see a scene of Nadia and Vishal together, and then we cut to the next scene where Nadia is seen to be breaking up with Shaker. Okay, and I put breaking up in quotes because, like I said earlier, I was not aware that these two were boyfriend girlfriend. There may have been something serious between the two. But again, we don't know because like I said, there was a massive disconnect between what they were showing with Shaker visiting Nadia's parents and what Nadia was saying is, hey, I'm not sure how he feels about me.
I'll say this much. I don't get frustrated often. I'm frustrated.
Anyway, so she breaks up with him, right? And this poor man is seen to be crying. And at that point, everybody felt really, really sad for him because obviously it was portrayed that this man got his heart broken. He was serious about Nadia, and now look at Nadia being messy, going over there, chatting up Vishal and like, starting things with him. Yeah, I really did feel bad for the guy, even though in the back of my mind I was like, I don't know if these two have been exclusive, but all right, let's see. So they show us that Nadia has now started a relationship with Vishal. And then 2 episodes later, Vishal is meeting up with Nadia and he's like, yeah, it's not working out. And within 2 episodes, okay, this poor girl is done. She's crying. She was really heartbroken herself. And of course, I kind of felt bad for her too. But because she had just broken Shaker's heart the episode before, at this point, everybody was against Nadia and her role as the villain had already been solidified. Everybody was literally like, oh yeah, you break someone's heart and you go off with somebody else. Yeah, now your heart's broken. You got the karma that you deserved. Yeah, this is what you get for messing up our boy Shaker. Did you see that poor man cry? You deserve this. And literally, she was hated on probably more than even Aparna was hated on, and she went on to write a book. So you can imagine what Nadia was going through at that time. Me personally, I was not very quick to dump on Nadia because of 2 things. One, because she was also seen to be crying, and it's never nice when anybody gets broken up with. Her heart was also broken. She seemed to really like the guy. I felt bad for Shaker, don't get me wrong, but I also felt bad for Nadia. And number 2, because I'm still not forgetting the fact that these two were not exclusive, Shaker and Nadia, right? And I'm still not sure the interviews and the meeting and all that. I am still not sure what is going on, what is the status between the two. Because, like I said, if you as Nadia know that Shaker is into you, going out and hanging out with Vishal and doing whatever is obviously messy and disrespectful, but technically it's not wrong, right? In a way, because again, you don't owe commitment to Shaker if you guys are not in an exclusive relationship. Again, it's messy, it's drama, it's not nice, it's very disrespectful to Shaker. But again, there's no title there, so, I am only here to state the facts. So anyway, there was a debate on this, and I was going back and forth too. I'm like, yeah, it's messy, it's not right, poor Shaker, But then, yeah, I don't know. I was going back and forth, okay? I was debating about this when I saw the show. But then, after the season aired, there was so much information that got revealed that everything that I just said about how things happened in the past, just throw them out, and let's get into the actual details, okay? So Mr. Vishal, the man himself that dated Nadia and broke up with her, gets on TikTok and he tells us this.
All right, let me show you guys how karma works. So this guy, Shaker, he is
Let's see.
all about this girl, Nadia.
I don't know about that.
Simping, guys, he is simping. He is crazy.
Simping.
He met her family. They've been talking for a little while.
Or did production set that up?
It's going great.
Talking, but
Look at that smile.
in
Look
groups
how
of friends.
he is.
He's a happy
At the small
guy.
party, while she was with Shaker, she meets this guy Vishal.
They didn't come together. They
And
went
her and
together.
Shaker clearly came together, but looks like she has a hot
Really?
for
Where are
this
you getting this from?
And then she's like, "Oh, I'm dating this guy now."
Bro, she had a
And
whole
man, he was
boyfriend
at that
for a
party, so
year.
he knew
between
right away.
Shaker
He's
and
like, "Is it?"
So here's what actually happened, okay? Apparently, Nadia and Shaker dated. It did not work out. There was about a year to a year and a half's time gap in between where Nadia had another whole boyfriend, okay? And that didn't work out, all right? Then this get together happens and she meets Vishal and they have their relationship or fling or whatever, and Shaker's there, okay? That is the timeline of events. So tell me how Nadia did anything wrong if there is a year and a half between her dating Shaker and Vishal. It was crazy. Vishal also told us that these two at the get together, they did not show up together. They came separately. Shaker came first, Nadia came second, whatever the order was, but they didn't come together. They came separately, which would again solidify the fact that they were not really dating at the time. And finally, Nadia gave an interview, I don't know where, but I remember her saying that the fact that Shaker actually flew to LA to meet her parents, it wasn't a special thing. He was there, and essentially, he just showed up to meet them as like any other friend of hers would. and not in a way which would imply that he's there to ask for, their daughter's hand in marriage. So now tell me, the whole Shaker crying thing, was that all scripted? And everything was staged. All these edits that Indian Matchmaking made, I feel like nothing was true. And everything got revealed like way after the season actually aired, which was insanity. So you're telling me the entire goal of villainizing Nadia and ruining her reputation and making her feel like she's this bad person, messy, dramatic person, whatever, none of it was true, and everything was done based on editing and implications. And to be quite honest, I really did find issue with this because I really didn't like how Aparna was portrayed in season 1, and the same thing with season 2 with Nadia. Like, I get it, it's reality TV. As such, there will be drama, there will be mess, and there will be actual good and bad guys and actual villains. But Nadia really didn't even do anything. If there's a 1 year, 1.5 year time gap between Shaker and Vishal, what did she do that was so wrong? It was purely just for TV, and she was made a villain for no reason. She didn't even do anything. And that's essentially what I wanted to talk about today. How is it that in Indian matchmaking, we have 2 seasons so far, we have one female villain in both seasons, right? Where everybody is just like hating on them as soon as the season airs. And they're both almost polar opposites when it comes to personality. It seems like Aparna has very high standards and Nadia is very open, in terms of her standards, but they're both villains. You see what the issue is here? Okay, so now I want to provide a very quick counterexample. Our girl, Shital. God almighty, I am so happy for this girl, okay? I can't even tell you. This girl, throughout the entire rule book when it comes to Indian matchmaking and arranged marriages and accepting 60 to 70%, she's like, no, not for me. And guess who the winner is? This girl. Seema Auntie came up to this girl the way that she goes up to almost everybody that she's trying to set up with the same thing. You have to compromise. You're not going to get everything you wanted. Fine, whatever. I mean, the thing is that if you train people or you consistently tell them to accept 60 to 70%, then maybe at one point they'll think that maybe that is all that they can get, but Shital was not one of these people. It's funny because there was this one scene where Shital's like, yeah, I want a decent looking man. I want to be attracted to, my man. And Seema Auntie's like, oh, Shital, she wants a man with hair, the standards. It was pretty funny. It was literally like iconic, okay? So in the season, Shital goes on a date with Aparna's cousin. That doesn't work out. And Shital's very much like, I want what I want and I very much deserve it. And I definitely think that what's for me is out there. And I just don't know if Seema Auntie's gonna find it for me, but I'm not gonna settle. And then at the end of season 2, she introduces us to her new man, all right? Not only is this man good looking, he loves to dance, he's a doctor, and he really seemed obsessed with the girl. Like, they looked very happy, very much in love, and I was very happy for her. Good for you, girl. That is how you do it. Another great piece of information is that I recently saw the trailer for season 3 of Indian Matchmaking, and apparently these two are still together. How nice. But here's the thing. What I wonder is if Shital did not find that man at the end of the season, how would she have then been portrayed? Something to think about. Indian Matchmaking is a highly watchable and very entertaining show, and one that I definitely would love to check out again for season 3. But as with every single reality TV show, it really does seem like there's this whole trope of the good guys and the bad guys, and I think in this show, yeah, 2 pretty decent women have been villainized already, but in this case, it's for no reason. Like, first, they did Aparna dirty, okay, by showing her to be this very stubborn, hard-headed, crazy, difficult woman. And I would argue that she is like a lot of women in today's time that are career-driven and actually have a set of requirements and are like, yeah, I mean, I'm direct. Like, this is what I want and it is what it is. There was nothing wrong with this poor girl's personality. Like, do you think it's better to settle or to speak your mind? And then finally, poor Nadia, by essentially twisting up her entire timeline and editing her to make it seem like she was this crazy girl, messy girl who messed up Shaker and then got dumped by Vishal. Like, I'm not impressed, Indian matchmaking. At least have some reality to what you're talking about. I feel like Indian matchmaking really has the potential to highlight a lot of the issues that surround marriage and, women being single and how they're treated, arranged marriage, for example, and, show, Indian dating culture more. I think there's lots and lots of good opportunities here. But I really don't like that so far a part of each season always focuses on the disempowering of certain girls, villainizing them, making them seem like they're messy or difficult. Yeah, that is something that I don't necessarily like because here's the thing, being single and finding love and the whole dating thing is difficult enough. And the last thing you want is to go on a show like Indian Matchmaking, essentially, and put yourself out there and try to find love, and then you come out of it and the world hates you. And in a lot of cases, a lot of it is just edits. It's really not fair. I think reality TV would not exist without messiness, and I'm positive that a lot of us do love to watch it and we enjoy it and we eat it all up, but at the same time, don't do it with like nice, vulnerable, like honest girls, to be honest, who are just trying to be themselves and, just live their best life. And like I said, dating and finding love is complicated and difficult enough to add this additional layer of scrutiny when it's not even real. At least let them be mean, for one. Or two, at least let some of the details of the timelines be accurate and not be twisted so that when people are outraged, it's actually based on reality and not like weird edits and stuff like that. But what do I expect from a reality TV show? What I have realized is that those folks that do not follow the rules of Indian matchmaking, they are coming out to be the clear winners, of this show. And of course, as season 3 comes around, I will of course be watching, but with a little bit of a side eye to see if they're going to try to villainize some new girl in season 3, hoping that it focuses more on the dating aspect and the finding love aspect rather than, making women look like demons. At least some of them. Alright, you guys, if you like this video, give it a thumbs up, subscribe. Did you like my opinions? Do you disagree with them? I hope you enjoyed this video, and I will see you in the next one.